Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Evolving Skies, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your order using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Rapid Strike Urshifu. It's a card that obviously has a ton of benefits to it, but it's been kept out the meta by the likes of Dragapult and Shadow Rider, as well as Sylveon earlier on in the meta, and even things like Zacian Zamazenta. So today, we're going to be looking at a build with Blaziken and Cinccino engine, rather than the straight Urshifu with Inteleon and Persimmon and those sorts of things. Now, interestingly enough, Urshifu actually has started to win events with the Inteleon build once again. But for me, I think it's a risky play right now. I think it's really risky to try and play straight Urshifu because of the prevalence of Dragapult. And today, we're going to be trying to tackle the Draga and Zacian Zam matchup by adding in Blaziken to be a partner here. So you could think about this in a couple of ways. This is like a reduced / more consistent way to play Sylveon, or this is a less consistent way to play Urshifu, however you want to slice it. But we're adding in the Blaziken for a couple of reasons. Like I said, you give yourself type coverage, and we play Phoebe Pal Pads to get through Zacian Zama, no questions asked, basically. But we also have a backup strategy against Dragapult that isn't actually like the Moltres package, which we have seen has kind of flopped, really. We don't have enough discard synergy, or we don't have enough space in decks to play enough Dark Energy to access them and rinse and repeat the ability on the Moltres, which is also shut down a lot of the time by Path to the Peak in the format. I think potentially Urshifu would be better served with Blaziken, triple Cheryl, and Pal Pad instead. The idea being that you slow roll a Dragapult, essentially, where you just bounce between two Blazikens, max blazing the entire time, and Cheryling off in between turns. The 90 hit points on the Cincinos that get healed off by a Cheryl every turn, if you can do it, means that they can't really disrupt you outside of like dusting up and KOing the Cincinos, which then means you don't need to Cheryl anyway the next turn. So yeah, I found this to be a great way around the Dragapult matchup as an Urshifu, or a Rapid Strike player at the very least. And I think this will provide more wins, actually, than having like a 7 energy Moltres package. Because you also need to play like a ton of stadiums, all those energy cards, E-searches, and even then, like, sometimes you just don't hit the researches and the quick balls in time for you to access all those energies every single turn. And there's just anti-synergy with, like, Rapid Strike energy, which doesn't work on anything but a Rapid Striker. So I much prefer this sort of approach. It's, like I said, a hybrid of drawing better than a Sylveon, but being a different engine to the Intel that we're used to as Urshi. So our game plan is simple against the Draga, where we're going to try and hit and heal, hit and heal. Against Jolteon, we have excellent type coverage, obviously. Against the single strike matchup, we're going to try and use this rapid flow as well, of course, to target down things like Hound Hours and put damage on multiple threats. Same thing for the Suicune matchup. We can set up multiple prize turns very easily with the rapid flow. It's actually the reverse. You just don't use Blaziken in the Suicune matchup. They are usually a 2-hit KO deck with less Ludicolo, slightly in the meta. If Ludicolo is in the meta, you have to time your Gmax Rapid Flows very well and deal with multiple Lotads on certain turns and not leave yourself vulnerable to them playing around that. But the Cheryl is still very useful when you're going lone Urshifu in the Suicune matchups, especially if it's Ice Rider and that sort of thing, rather than Ludicolo. So, yeah, you have these two type coverages, which are still covering a good amount of the format. You know, you got your Zacian decks and you got your Jolteon covered. The Blaze Cheryl combo is great against Dragapult. Really, your only sort of Achilles heels would be Shadow Rider. We basically scoop that matchup immediately. Our damage output is horrific, and you're never going to win the game just using Max Blaze. You're never going to win the game trying to do lots of rapid flows unless they have like horrible bricks, because we're trying to buy turns back with Cheryl. Shadow Rider is pretty good at getting over the top of us in that regard. So that's a matchup that we are conceding with this list, and potentially Sylveon would have a better time in that matchup. But again, Sylveon relies on the Moltres package anyway, so it's kind of half a dozen of one, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. That's sort of what I'm trying to get to saying here. But yeah, let's jump into it. I've actually really been enjoying this deck. I've been playing a good amount of it. I think it's pretty fun. Utilizes a draw engine that's slightly different in the format, but is more robust to what we're actually coming up against, which I think is pretty nice in general. You do lose a bit of your sort of stopping power, I guess you could say, by not having Telescopic, Persimmon, Intel, that sort of stuff. But we're just trying to buy back turns, essentially, with the Cheryl package, which is usually pretty nice. So let's jump into some games. Didn't really talk too much about the list, more about like the concept itself, but the counts kind of speak for themselves, where we're trying to have the 3-2 of each VMAX because you need different ones in different situations. We have the Cinccino to fall back on, as well as Octillery, which makes the Cheryl much more live because you can access your energy straight after you've used a Cheryl. The Cinccinos help us cycle through the deck. And yeah, we get to utilize capture energy just like a Cinccino list would. So overall, not too bad. Our opening hand is bust. This is looking really nice. An argument for me to start any Pokemon other than Blaziken, because we have Bird Keeper as our likely supporter for turn. And we instantly run into our worst matchup, which is just like, this is going to feel bad, and it's really going to make the deck look bad. I'm not going to lie. We have a very low win rate against the Shadow Rider. We assume that it being one of, like, it's between like the 8th to 10th best deck range, I think, right now. You just kind of shrug in this matchup and say, I rolled into like the 4% of the field of actual tournaments right now, and you kind of say, well, yikes. But this would be the same if we were playing Intel Urshifu anyway. You basically try and run around with boss's orders and that sort of thing and try and do snipe stuff. So it's not too different in that regard as to how the matchup would be going. So I don't feel too bad. It's only really like a Intel Urshifu would have a better chance here than we do. You normally do still make Urshifus in this matchup, interestingly enough, as well. Just to give yourself the option. I'm just thinking about if I want a high jump kick this turn, I could go into this new Blaziken. I think that's our best route. I probably will still try and power up an Urshifu, just not in these opening turns, because their damage output is at least low in the openings, and the Blazikens can tank for a little bit. And every damage counter does actually help us quite a lot, so I may as well put the 5 into him now with the high jump kick. What else is there really to say about this list? Yeah, I'm playing Phoebe Pad right now because I still respect the walling decks, and I think I would play Pal Pad anyway, just because I want to, in some matchups like the Dragapult matchup, I've used Cheryl like 3-4 times, so I'd like to Pal Pad those in. So it would be a card that I play anyway, so it's just the Phoebe that really is a space getting eaten up. As our opponent could only really pop off and take a care of this turn if they get to use some Galarian Moltres shenanigans. If not, they're just hitting us for a chunk. They choose not to manually attach, keeping their option open for Stadium by the looks of things. They're playing Familiar Bell, which means they're playing Mewtwo, I imagine. Which might mean no Alcremie, which actually gives us a slightly better chance here. Yeah, the Articuno V does kind of solidify that argument that they are playing the Mewtwo package. They're going to chuck away a Mewtwo piece, just in case we had any other thoughts of it being any other kind of build. We do see a manual attachment now. You can come in and hit us for 130. We're living on a Cinccino draw here. Wouldn't be too bad if I could retreat this Blaziken into another one. I think I'll toss the capture energy because it's a good draw. It's a good like option to recover cards, and I kind of want the other options in hand. Let's get rid of the energy. We do Rip Research. Don't think I necessarily want this Shovel. I think everything's got to go. Don't need the Bird Keeper. Okay, we have another Cinccino. We have a Make Do on our hands. Do I want to Quick Ball now proactively? I'm trying to roll into Incense, mostly would be our best draw. I kind of like trying to get an Urshifu now because we have Capture. And if I whiff everything, I can at least capture to Urshifu. That's been boss. We do roll Blaziken. Draw Blaziken. Roll him. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 210, 220's in their range for sure. I think tempo is the name of the game though. The good news is they only have like the small hand size right now. Let's get an energy on each of our chaps. But like I say, this is a super low win percentage matchup. This is the matchup that we just say no to anyway. So we go in with no expectations. Oh. They're going to spend their turn burnetting rather than drawing a bunch of cards and killing me? Maybe they'll still draw a bunch of cards and kill me. Turn attach? Oh, Crobat. Okay. I lost my mind for a second there. Went to quite a high pitch. Let's... So we are getting KO'd. Extra Shadow Rider is going to make this really rough, as expected. We are just a very low tempo, low damage output deck. I have toyed with playing like Zeraora, Persimmon, and Telescopic as a package, but ultimately it doesn't help any matchup apart from things like Shadow Rider. So that's like my sacrifice to be a good deck in the meta against literally everything else. You would have been called crazy to take an L to Shadow Rider in the previous format, but in this format, it's easily a sub 10% deck in every format, in every tournament that we're queuing into these days. All right, they're gonna bop us. We've got 3 of the Exodia pieces in there. Funny to lose to a BM Burnett as well. That's always a nice feeling. This rope gotta go. This Cinccino can go. Wow, that's really, really bad draws. Guess we just died. Unplayable garbage. Alright, let's move on to the next game. Like I said, that will make the deck look tragic, but we'll redeem it in every other game that we face that isn't Shadow Rider, I promise. Nervously laughs. If we look at our tier 1 decks and our tier 1.5 decks, this is very well equipped. It's just that we are quite specific in that how our game plans go in most of the top tier matchups. This is like a meta-call deck rather than a very, very strong archetype, I guess. Alright, not the worst of starts, not great, but Incense for Octillery is actually like a huge springboard for us to get into powerful starts. Another Shadow Rider? Metacalls, huh? You hate to see it. We also totally lose to Shadow Mist if you don't turn 1 energy Blaziken V. Alright, let's hope they don't Shadow Mist us. It is obviously a lost condition. Our answer is trying to boss enough times. Cards like this. Which isn't really a great answer. Be the first to admit that. The somewhat good news is that he's just going to take a KO instead. Mining us out of a Pog hand, unfortunately. Not that we're going to win this game, but just nice to... Just thought I'd let you know. Now we're living on a make-do again. So Octillery actually isn't the best draw for us in the deck. We'll take this instead. I'm going to try and get the chip damage in. Unironically, we really badly need chip damage in this matchup. If we're ever going to get anywhere. They need the Articuno to bop. We'll keep moving on. Promise you this deck is good. Oh, man. When it isn't your day. Alright. It is nice going first with a deck like this. Okay, looks like we're in a Urshifu mirror. In the mirror, it's obviously important to have a look at our Cheryls, energy count. Definitely want to get Remoraid down. Turn 1, when you're holding an incense. That seems to be very wise. Very good start. Cheryls are usually very, very strong in this matchup. Our opponent does very little, which is a shame. Alright, I think we'll just grab energy here. Don't want to play Minccino down into random rapid flow. If he's actually bricking, we can just continue to max Blaze, right? If he's not bricking, the game goes on. His rapid flow probably becomes active in Octillery now if he has it. Okay, just the poke. I think bossing is fine. Not scared of any plays he's going to make. Keep him off the engine. All right. I think now we go wide. Double Minccino sounds good. I'll just keep taking energy out of the deck. Flow this. I mean, it's not impressive to be a bricking list, but there you go. We actually are super well equipped to deal with the mirror. The biggest pain becomes knowing when to when to commit to bench Pokemon. Timing is important, so you can actually draw into your Cheryls, but other than that, it's pretty good. Looks like we could be facing another, well, I mean, this could be about 50 decks, so. Let's see. Okay. Leafeon. Leafeon is also an insanely good matchup for us. This and Cheryl is pretty good. Okay, our other Blaziken VMAX is here. I think I want to make double Blaziken. And I'll probably switch into the Minccino here. Try and just have double Blaziken developed. Probably my best move. It actually is nice to develop the Urshifu as well, because we hit 240, so it just sets up the double KO so easily. But really, you can just slow roll with triple Blaze or double Blaziken bouncing in this matchup. So I think I'm just going to do this hold, try and get the value out of this Blaziken while I can. Because double Blaze is just such a, shake hand moment for them, right? Double VMAX comes down. Maybe they play Rope. They usually just play, nets, though, right? Nets and switches. You never know. We're going to see a research from them, which is exactly what I want to see, because it's not a boss. They do have nets. There's VMAX. Oh, okay. Proactive grab of research. Makes sense. Alright, let's make our stage 1s. Let's get a fresh 7. Never need Phoebe. Probably a decent time to put down 2 Urshifus. Only get to attach to 1, but still. Pretty good. They're going to grab Shady Deal. So what's better than them getting research? Well, they already have research, right? So what are they trying to dig for now? It's going to be like Quick Ball E-Search, something like that. Fan Quick Ball. Okay, that makes sense. Fan the bench, hit the active. Fan active. Just not expecting Cheryl, I guess. I mean, it's not in our hand, so. But my ideal play anyway would be to Rapid Flow. Oh, okay. Double fan. Fair play. It is very good right now. I'll give him that. Alright. Let's start with the make do. I think it's going to be Rope Research. I think I want to go wide on board now. Let's take the 1. The Tower of Waves might make his boss play a little bit more difficult, which would be nice. There's an excellent prize for us to take as well. Never mind, they have the instant Gala Mine. Many Leafeons only play 2 boss as well. So even if they take the 3 prize KO, they may be forced into a different route. They do play Pal Pad though a lot of the time. They're just going to grab VMAX. And yeah, they research. So we get away with 1 here. Because we can make a Cheryl play. Oh, they whiff energy? Okay. But as soon as they don't boss us there, we just get into a commanding position, right? Even if I can't retreat out that Urshifu, I'm happy to like Cheryl, draw a bunch of cards with Cinccino and pass, honestly. We just don't lose from that spot. Leafeon's certainly one of the easier matchups. The vulnerabilities come when we go second and they can take the 2 prize KOs, obviously, which did happen. Even with boss. So they had pretty much like the scariest possible turn 2 and we still just railed them. So this is going to be a Ludicolo build. So this is quite a spicy matchup, actually. The fact that we lead out with Urshifu with Capture is going to be pretty big for us to actually get Rapid Flow threatened immediately, because it's a big deal to threaten it. We are going second, though, which is ugly. Instant Lotad, you hate to see it. A really busted opening hand from them. We'll just pass. If we get railed by candies, so be it. Let's see the deal. Melanie, the obvious choice. More Suicunes, just the Rondo, okay. So we can make a Rapid Flow happen this turn, which is definitely looking like a good idea. Can't really let this Lotad chill. Where are we at? We're at 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, I'm obviously attaching this. I'm obviously doing this. It's always an Urshi. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? But his max is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that keeps us out of range. So I'm going to try and Rapid Flow, and I'm going to try and Cheryl next turn if I can manage it. Obviously, prizes will help that. I'm going to go Lotad Drizzile for sure. His hand size is large enough that I don't really mind him having Sobble. I just want to deny the quick shots. There would be an argument for us to hit Suicune in like prize race situations, but I think this is just seems like the best play for now. At the very least, we can try and go into our next VMAX and attach to that next turn. Force boss again from him to hit this for a third time. And that would seem pretty good. Lotad coming down. That's the scariest thing, right? Us going into a fresh Urshi with a Lotad in play is what's really like a big yikes. But our bench currently isn't overcommitted, so maybe we'll be okay. You see Level Ball for Shady. Let's see what they want to do here. They have the option to make a Boss's Orders play as well if they really want to. If they want to take a cheeky prize. thinking that they can two-shot this later. Go see a Marnie. Not necessarily bad news for us, actually. They get rid of a big Shady. Then we're going to see the fresh 4 cards. Okay, just the Rondo. So we can definitely do a VMAX hit play. I would love to find a Cheryl or a boss off of this next couple cards. Let's do this first because I'm trying to draw supporter. I can quick ball thin Blaziken. Cheryl or boss, both insane here. Okay, nothing too helpful. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. The 20 goes to 300 on the Urshi, and he can only threaten 1 intel ping next turn. So I am allowed to put down 1 more Minccino for now. Sounds like a plan when I'm holding Incense. So we're just setting up the Gale Thrust play. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 300, 320 is just shy. And we could be eyeing up a ridiculous Cheryl play next turn. Even if he just takes a boss KO, I think we're still feeling okay at that stage, because then I can Rapid Flow active and Lotad, and then I'm not afraid of a one-hit KO. Now a Lombre, which is still in range. So looking pretty good, actually. We do see that boss's orders. He's going to munch that Urshifu. Ping here. But we have the obvious prizes, right? We're going for Rapid Flow, then we're digging for boss for this. There's never a world I don't Rapid Flow. And now we just dig into the deck as much as we possibly can. Play Capture Thirst just to thin a Remoraid. It gives him 20 extra damage to play with. Next turn he can cap at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. 24 doesn't matter. So I may as well thin an extra card from my deck for the cause. Let's get rolling. I like the research option for sure. Thins a ton of cards for us. This can obviously go. Oh, I should have got rid of a Remoraid. Yeah, drew Remoraid. That was really bad. Our 2 bosses still at the bottom. Maybe the hand size baits him to Cheryl, to Marnie us anyway, because we're going to take prizes. So I may as well still play this card for no target. Now the question is, do I want to Rapid Flow? If I Rapid Flow here, I still have this as like the boss KO option or the yeah, boss KO option. The only thing that happens then is that he's forced to Melanie, and then he won't Marnie us. And I would much prefer him to Marnie us, actually. So yeah, I shouldn't KO active. I should just take these two. So that he doesn't Marnie. Or so that he's more likely to Marnie. Yeah, sounds right in my head. It doesn't lose to Cape either, so... Looking pretty okay here. They are going to Melanie. Okay. I guess they were forced to Melanie regardless of what I did, because they can't attack with this guy, right? Failing boss, we can try and Cheryl. Alright, let's stick with some stuff, shall we? There's our backup plan. And there's game. Okay, nice. Backup plan means that I have just another turn to dig for boss, right? Because he only has 320 represented, so unless he randomly plays like Zignet, we don't die. Even if he has Candy Ludicolo. One more. I do feel bad about those Shadow Riders, so let's get one more game. We beat a bricking Urshi, we beat Leafeon, which is pretty standard to win, and then a decent matchup against Suicune, which is like a 50-50 matchup, I think. Not great. Alright, the hand could be better. I think that's safe to say. Let's see what we need to react to. Jolteon. Jolteon's one of our strongest matchups if we don't just instantly lose in our opening turns, which we might in this instance. Easily one of our strongest matchups. If we actually get there, which it's looking a little bit more likely now that we have the capture off the top. Pretty pog. You love to see it. So now they're like immediately put into a dilemma, right? Because if they go VMAX trying to disrupt our board and they KO like Remoraid Minccino, I guess that's the safest plan for them. They just hope I can't switch in and out, find an extra basic Pokemon. That does actually make a good amount of sense, but it's still a huge risk from them, right? Knowing that they do just get blown away by Gale Thrust. An argument for a proactive incense to improve my top decks, but I kind of like having these in the deck if I'm getting Marnied, you know? Okay, deal for the net. Makes sense. Reload the Drizzle and get into the active. We do see a Marnie. So they're digging for Badge, and they're digging for Zigzag. Or Energy Attachment, obviously, also works. They did attach turn 1, right? Oh, they do have everything they need off the Marnie. Feels good. Alright, they're just in that sort of let's hope mode. Makes sense. Tower's a really good draw. I don't want to risk Remoraid too early. We do not hit switch out, which is a shame. So let's just make another Urshi, I guess. So the game gets pretty rough for them. I'd like to think, at least. Maybe the next Marnie just crumbs us, you never know. There's not even much incentive for them to Marnie, right? Stadium Bounce is very strong for them. Choosing not to attach for the draws. They are going to make the next Jolteon. Ping Inteleon comes down. They can take the prize on Minccino now. Continue to deny the engine. So we're digging for switch outs. We have Stadium and we have Rope and Switch. Rope would actually be kind of trash. So it's mostly just those. Two, like, real outs, I guess you could say. I don't mind attaching here. I have the option to Cheryl and just, like, completely slow roll this game if I need to. We do Rip Switch, though, which is just, like, insane. Will I bench more chaps? Yeah, I think it's good to bench more chaps now. Do I want a pad just to improve my draws? Because I imagine he's Marnieing. Have to imagine he's Marnieing me, right? And we're working with imperfect engine right now. Hitting switch there is pretty high roll. But the thing is, when, like, the pressure that they put onto your Urshifus, as soon as you make the Urshifus, you can just Cheryl and wait, right? You just Cheryl and wait until you hit your outs. If he wants to pressurize my bench, he loses to a Gale Thrust at any point, so he may try to stay as a 2-prizer. And do some pin missile action. You never know. If he goes boss pin missile 4 heads, that's his win condition. You'd love to see it. He needs badge attach boss 4 heads. Wonder if they're debating it, like actually debating it. I don't know if they ever get higher odds than the 4 heads that they have to flip right now. Unironically. He can obviously just use, what's this called? Thunder Spear as well. If he makes another quick shooter, he can take a 1-prize KO and set up damage, but what's that actually achieving? Don't think it achieves a win ever. It's just not enough active damage. This is the only time you have the option to pin missile as well. Thunder Rumble never gets there. Unless he's just praying Armani sticks. I would have loved to have seen a pin missile, not gonna lie. The real line was there. They're gonna keep incensing. Grabbing more deals. Let's see if they can do anything super impactful here to disrupt outside of Armani. Armani's obviously required right now because we're holding game. Spiral is game, just so I can pay retreat. We're still clutching game unless they Fan of Waves the active. No. Okay. Yeah, and it is literally just 2 attacks to beat Jolteon. So, pretty nice. It's the original reason why no one expected Jolteon to be top tier. It still has ended up being top tier, but there's enough Rapid actually coming back into the meta to just make it feel bad. So after our very shaky expected losses to Shadow Rider, we have started winning games. Let me know your thoughts on this build. We did see some Cheryl in action, or at least where Cheryl could have been beneficial. The engine wasn't online in like a huge amount of matchups. Obviously Jolteon and Urshifu are both matchups where we have to be defensive with our bench. There are other matchups where these are absolute all-stars. Like Dragapult matchup, the 70 hit points on Minccino is really good. It's like playing a high hit point Sobble. Yeah, against Leafeon, obviously we were able to get the board going and just spamming Blaziken attacks. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this build. Do you think it's better than Sylveon? Do you think it's worse than Inteleon Urshi? I'll hear your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.